So I was talking to John earlier, and he said that he was kind of surprised how little people played Abzan. Like, he hasn't followed Modern all that much in the last 6 months or so. He's been pretty big into Hearthstone, as we've mentioned a few times. And he always thought that Abzan was great, you know? And he said that sitting down this weekend, playing various different opponents with various different decks, he said that the most common reaction he got from them was that, like, oh, you're playing Abzan? This is my worst matchup. It's
not a very popular deck.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
But, I mean, Lingering Souls, it does a lot of work, and he was saying against, like, the Grixis decks, or just Splinter Twin in general, a lot of times they board out their combo in favor of these slower, grindier cards, things like Keranos, and they just can't really keep up with Lingering Souls.
Yeah, the one thing that's happened every time we've watched John play thus far, and this is, I think, either our third or fourth time watching him play the feature match area, is I feel like every time we were watching him work his way into the mid game and stuff, it's like, well, if he draws Lingering Souls, this game's going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that actually holds true in this particular matchup, but Lingering Souls does look to be pretty well positioned, at least in the fairer matchups, and that's what makes Abzan such a good deck. Quarterfinals underway. A Riftbolt is on suspend. Westberg's going to start off with a Stirring Wildwood. Riftbolt will now come off of suspend. John's going to fall down to 17. And buckle up.
So, of all the decks that John may have been favored against, I don't believe this is one of them. Although, with the burn deck not starting with a one-drop, like a one-drop creature specifically, it is certainly a lot better for him.
Hawk going to send a Lava Spike Westberg's way now.
And no Eidolon to follow up either.
Yeah, no creatures. It looks like it's just a burn-heavy hand here for William Hawk.
So it is possible that things like Siege Rhino might be able to buffer his life total enough to actually get him out of range.
You see a couple of fetch lands here in Westberg's hand. The thing that's really tough, of course, he's got a Temple Garden over there as well. He might have to play one of these lands untapped or search for a Ravnica Shock land and then take two, and you never love to do that against Burn. He's going to fall down to 13 with this Verdant Catacombs. Has the ability to search up a basic, of course. We know his deck is a little bit more basic heavy with two swamps, a forest, and a plains, and he's going to get a swamp.
You got to beat Blood Moon somehow.
Yeah. You don't want to be taking too much damage against Burn. Burn, as we've mentioned a couple times, and if you head over to our coverage page for that Day 2 metagame breakdown, it's our most popular deck in Day number 2 of competition. 12 copies, but just one here in the top 8.
Yeah, and that was another thing that John was a little surprised about. He's just like, why is there no Abzan and why is there so much Burn? I don't understand. It's like, well, one of those kind of explains the other one, right? Like, there's not a lot of Abzan because there's a lot of Burn.
Yep. See, we got our first update right away. Bang. Stephen Long, Zoo, up a game very quickly against Richard Drummer playing Elves.
Okay.
I told you they'd be fast and furious. Tarmogoyf's here. We'll get our Tarmogoyf die out there, let you guys know the size of that creature. It looks like it's a 2/3 just now with the sorcery and the land in the graveyard.
And that's where Abzan needs to start. It really needs to put a clock on this Burn deck because if not, you can't, like, Burn's going to have all the time in the world. They're going to find enough Burn spells to finish you off. There's not a lot you can do about that. So basically have to race them, close out the game with something like Tarmogoyf, or gain enough life with things like Siege Rhino or Sorin.
William Hawk is going to sacrifice an Arid Mesa. We'll see what he wants to search up here. He's going to go with a mountain. You got to remember his burn deck. He's got access to Stomping Ground and Sacred Foundry. Boros, Charmatarkus, command some sideboard cards.
Yeah.
Another update here. What a surprise. John DeBruyne, in fact, up a game against Ray Montes playing Green Red Shroud. Probably killed him on turn 3. Not messing around. Here's an Eidolon. A little late to the party is this Eidolon, however. There is Sacred Foundry. That's the land for the turn. Hawk ended his last turn with the fetch on the battlefield. So now we're going to head back Westberg's way for his third turn of the game.
So I think Liliana is probably what Westberg would like to do this turn. Destroy the Eidolon and have a way to start picking apart William Hawk's hand. And also make his Tarmogoyf very big in the process. But if he doesn't have Liliana, he might just have to settle for something like Abrupt Decay.
I think he does just want to get this Eidolon off the battlefield. If he can.
Off the battlefield and preferably into the graveyard.
Yep. Oh, there's Abrupt Decay. Eidolon will trigger. Now, keep in mind, this is going to put an instant, a creature, and an enchantment in the graveyard. So Tarmogoyf's now 5-6. Now the race is certainly on. Hawk is going to fall down to 14.
Westberg is behind, but he does have that creature land in Stirring Wildwood hanging out there.
Yep. That's a way to be able to deal damage without actually having to cast a spell, too, if Eidolon kind of shows up again.
I mean, the other way that Abzan can actually get around Eidolon is with a bunch of 4-mana cards. You know, like Siege Rhino and Sorin both do good work. Jund doesn't typically have access to things like that. Sometimes they have a couple Huntmaster of the Fells hiding out, but that's about it.
An overgrown 2-minute battlefield tap. That'll be Westberg's turn. We're heading back Hawk's way. He'll play a copy of Windswept Heath and simply pass the turn back. Maybe our burn player is flooding out a little bit here. He does have another copy of Wooded Foothills in hand. Westberg, I'm going to take a long look at the grip. The interesting thing about things at this stage, you know, discard spells, not sure how they are on turn 4 when your opponent has 4 mana available.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, he might want to try and clear the way for a life gain spell by making sure that Skullcrack has to hit the graveyard this turn.
John giving this turn a lot of thought.
Yeah, I mean, either he uses the discard spell, and he could potentially take 9 damage, maybe more, maybe 10. Or you can just jam the Siege Rhino and hope it's good.
Well, fortunately for him, it's a pain-free discard spell.
Yes.
It's an Inquisition.
So players do have access to their opponent's deck list. He does know that William has 4 Skullcracks in his deck. And with his hand being a little lackluster, you might think that that might have been one of the reasons why he did actually keep the hand.
4 Skullcracks, no Tarkus commands, though. A little bit surprising.
Oh, yeah, I'm very surprised about that.
Now, he does have Stomping Grounds in his main deck, but just no Tarkus commands. It's got some Destructive Revelers in the sideboard. Here's a Searing Blaze. It's going to be full effect because of a fetch land.
And there is the Skullcrack.
Yep. Now, the card left in hand is a Wooded Foothills. So 6 damage is going to be dealt over to Westberg. He's going to fall down to 5. Tarmogoyf's coming in.
So this works just as well. Westberg ends up at 5 life, but there's no card in William's deck that he can draw to deal him 5 damage. So worst case scenario at this point is William draws a Skullcrack, I guess. Then he can't get Rhino'd, but he's just dead on the attack.
Yeah, he's just dead on the board. And we know that he's got a Wooded Foothills in hand, so he can draw a card. It can be any card. Now, that's a Lightning Helix.
Yeah, it doesn't actually accomplish much because he's still dead on board and the Rhino will kill him through the Helix.
Yeah, the Rhino is actually the card that, if he didn't have Rhino, he could lose this game.
Correct.
But the Rhino is actually the card that finishes things off appropriately. Here's a lethal attack. Here's Lightning Helix. Going to go upstairs with that. So Hawk's going to go up to 9. Westberg's going to fall to 2. And then Hawk's going to take all of this damage. He'll take 5, 6, 7. He'll fall down to 2 himself. And we're not watching Standard here. We're actually watching Modern, but Siege Rhino's still plenty good. And John Westberg is going to win game number 1 here over William Hawk. Abzan up a game here over Burn. Note, Abzan on the draw that game, too.
Yeah. I think William just came up like a spell short.
You know, what that also kind of displays, too, is kind of the power of Burn when it starts with a 1-drop like Goblin Guide or Swiftspear.
Right.
And he didn't have that game. Heck, even Grim Lava Mancer would have been okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's easy mode.
Yeah, but no 1-drop creature, just some spells, and so no reoccurring sources of damage there, and that's why Hawk does come up a little bit short in that particular game. So we'll take a look at the sideboards here for both players, get an idea of what they're working with. For John Westberg, a Celestial Purge, a Golgari Charm, a Gideon Jura, a Timely Reinforcements, 3 Stony Silence, 2 Duress, a Dark Blast of Liliana the Veil, 2 Obstinate Baloth, 2 Grafdigger's Cage. Quite a bit of life gain there on the board.
Yeah, so John was saying that he knows that he's not a favorite against Burn, but he has enough cards in his sideboard that are good enough, and he feels like he might be able to get the job done. So 2 Obstinate Baloth, 1 Timely Reinforcements, that's definitely where you're going to start with. Also 2 copies of Duress, another pain-free discard spell. So likely that the Thoughtseizes will hit the bench, just basically get swapped with Duress. And then there are also things like Golgari Charm and Celestial Purge you can turn to if you need additional removal. Golgari Charm does kill Eidolon of the Great Revel if you're super worried about that. Also Liliana the Veil is another pretty good way to take out a creature and then go after their hand. But, I mean, he's playing Abzan. He has a lot of removal spells. It all basically depends on how many cards he wants to side out. You know, the things like Abzan, Charm, and Thoughtseize, the things that are a little bit slow.
For William Hawk, 2 Rending Volleys, 3 Path to Exile, 2 Relic Progenitors, 2 Deflecting Palm, 3 Core Firewalkers, and 3 Destructive Revelry.
So Relic is interesting in that it can shrink Tarmogoyf, and Deflecting Palm is also a good way to win a race against a Tarmogoyf, but I'm not sure if you really want any of these cards, because you're going to end up siding out things like Lightning Helix, maybe, I don't know, Rift Bolt might be the worst burn spell, maybe Searing Blaze, it's hard to say.
Searing Blaze doesn't seem great.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem particularly good. I just don't know what creatures it's going to be killing for good, right? Like Tarmogoyf is probably not going to kill. Might be able to kill Scavenging Ooze. Siege Rhino, obviously not. And then, you know, there's some Lingering Souls running around. Obsidat's probably going to get boarded out. Tassiger doesn't kill, so you still get your 3 damage. But
Obsidat's kind of like a bigger Siege Rhino.
yeah.
So you might have to stay in, but it is very, very slow.
5 mana is so much.
So you would prefer to go the Relic route. Like, I don't think you want to turn to Path to Exile to try and take out a Tarmogoyf and, like, buy you more time to draw into some burn spells.
I don't love Path in the matchup. I kind of like Relic. Maybe I'm a little too obsessed with wanting to cantrip. Like Deflecting Palm could be fine. There's some good options here. I'm not entirely sure. Let's say he boards in 7, right? He boards in Paths, Relics, and Deflecting Palms. You know, then he's probably diluting his deck too much.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I feel like even having something like Searing Blaze, even though it doesn't take out anything relevant, if it takes out like a Spirit Token from a Lingering Souls,
that could be fine.
Maybe that blows out a double block on a Goblin Guide or something, and you get some value there.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They're shuffling up. William Hawk will be on the play here, so we're going to talk about the SCG newsletter very quickly. It's your source for Magic the Gathering news. You can get the latest on the SCG Open Series. Watch the SCG Open Series Match of the Week. Receive exclusive deck lists and advice from some of our columnists at Star City Games. Catch up on all the event results and read an exclusive cardboard crack comic. Best of all, it is free to sign up for. StarCityGames.com/newsletter for more information about that. Get signed up today. You're on the internet all day anyway, just like Jerry and I, so you might as well get your newsletter while you're at it. StarCityGames.com/newsletter. As we do want to update you guys on the results thus far. Stephen Long, number 2 overall seed against Richard Drummer. That's Zoo versus Elves. Zoo currently up a game in that match. We've got John DeBruin with Infect. He won very quickly in game number 1 against Ray Montez, who's playing Green Red Tron. Still waiting on a game result here from Mason Young versus Wesley Blanchard. That is Amulet Boom versus Zoo. And the match in front of us, John Westberg versus William Hawk, number 8 versus number 1. Westberg was able to steal game number 1 against Byrne in a matchup where you feel Byrne is pretty well positioned here.
Well, I've played a lot of Abzan, a lot of Jund, and it's really hard to beat Byrne. It's not as bad as playing against Green Red Tron, but it is quite difficult.
I don't think anyone's ever too thrilled with their Byrne matchup, and this green-black deck does have a pretty difficult time, but that, again, kind of demonstrates the power of Tarmogoyf. We had a 5-6 there on turn to number 2, and it got to work right away, and it puts a lot of pressure on the Byrne deck to actually draw correctly.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, like we said, William needed maybe one more draw step.
Once again, if you believe you're in the top,
or one extra card, actually. I guess the Rhino would have given him a big enough buffer.
This is also your final reminder. Please do not offer.
And both players going to take a look at their 7 cards.
For match results.
And we'll see if William Hawk, our number 1 overall seed, is happy with what he's found.
Welcome to your final round, round 7. You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
Taking a long look at it as Hawk, and he's going to keep his opening hand. See if Westberg is pleased with what he's found. It looks like he's going to keep as well. Players have been given the green light. We're underway here. And that is a recurring source of damage. It's no Goblin Guide, it's no Monastery Swift Spear, but it'll do just fine in Grim Lavamancer.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think he just needs one of his cards to translate into 4 or more damage.
So Vexing Devil then.
Yes and no.
Uh-oh, breaking news. Ray Montez, Green Red Tron, ties it up against Infect.
Ooh.
He's fighting back. If memory serves, he's actually got a pretty good sideboard to be able to interact with Infect, but he's on the draw for game number 3. That'll be pretty tough as Rift Bolt's on suspend, Grim Lavamancer to come into the red zone. Inquisition Echoes like the draw here for Westberg.
So Westberg is definitely doing a good job of having the early interactive cards that he needs to fight this Burn deck. Being on the draw twice in a row is a little difficult.
There's Verdant Catacombs, so sacrifice that. Time to go a-searching. Get a basic swamp.
Has all his colors online. Definitely doesn't want to take any extra damage.
So we'll see what's next here for Westberg. Good start here from Hawk, though.
I think this is like a medium start. This is certainly better than his start in game 1.
Yeah, I think you want something that's a reoccurring source of damage. So in that regard, I kind of find this to be a good start. He was just without some sort of one drop in the previous game.
Yeah.
Here's Inquisition. Lightning Helix, 2 Boros Charms, and a Mountain. Those are the cards left over here from William Hawk.
Yeah, so plenty of gas in the tank.
Helixes did stay in. Was unclear if he was going to leave those in or not.
Yeah, might just be better than a Searing Blaze in his mind. Makes sense to me. John Westberg doing some math.
Yep.
How much damage am I going to take?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Time in the round. Active player finish your turn, then complete 5 additional.
Looks like he's going to go with Boros Charm.
Of your match. If you have a time extension,
I think Grim Lavamancer might be getting Path now, too.
call for a judge.
Yep. So Hawk does get to search up a land here, which is nice. But what this means is that Grim Lavamancer only got in 1 point of damage.
It does get him an extra land, but unfortunately all of his cards are white and red, so it doesn't even look like right now the way things are, he's going to be able to play 2 spells next turn. So maybe giving him the extra land doesn't even help that much. And he only has 2 mountains in his deck and 1's in his hand, so doesn't actually even get to get a land.
Yeah, this is just awkward all the way around. He's searching through his deck multiple times, but the mountain that you're looking for, William, well, it's in the grip.
Just making sure, yep, I'm still a burn deck. Nothing has changed.
So Boros Charm, Lightning Helix, Rift Bolt's going to be coming off as suspended here in just a moment. So Westberg's going to fall down to 15. This is a big draw step here from William Hawk. I believe it was a Goblin Guide.
That's a great start.
Yeah. We have an update here for you guys on our 3 versus 6. Number 3 overall seed, Wesley Blanchard. He's gotten a game with Zoo, and his opponent, number 6 overall seed, Mason Young. Well, he's gotten a game as well with Amulet Bloom, so they're going to game number 3. Here comes Goblin Guide. Duress is the reveal. The mountain is the land. Pass the turn back. Duress will be the draw here for Westberg.
And we know the Dress is live, so that's going to trade with a burn spell. Basically translates to B sorcery, gain 4 life. Perfectly serviceable in this matchup.
There's Duress. We're going to see a response here from William Hawk. I think we'll see him search up the old Sacred Foundry and fire off a Boros Charm.
That makes sense. Boros Charm seems more important to have resolve in this spot than a Lightning Helix. Much rather get in that 1 extra point of damage than gain 3 life.
There's Boros Charm. Going to put Westberg down to 9. There goes Lightning Helix. So discard proving to be very potent right now. And now Westberg's just got to find ways to get to the board. And that's a great way to start. There's a Tarmogoyf. And now we have our first match result. Like I said, this is not going to take very long. That was our backup match, so we're not going there. We will be unable to. Stephen Long, our number 2 overall seed with Zoo, takes down Richard Drummer playing Elves. So Stephen Long, who was our number 1 overall seed at the end of yesterday, number 2 overall seed in elimination rounds. He's moving on to the semifinals. Congratulations to him with his 18-land Zoo deck.
Flinthoof Boar, Burning Tree Emissary.
What year is it?
What format is it?
Yeah. Goblin Guide is just hanging out. Westberg's got that 3/4 Tarmogoyf. Here's Abrupt Decay. Take care of Goblin Guide. Tarmogoyf's going to grow a little bit. And the race is on. Put you down to 13. Verdant Catacombs. Pass the turn back. Hawk will draw. He's got to find burn spells to finish it off. He'll just pass the turn back.
I like that turn from John. He very easily could have just cast the Liliana and had William sacrifice the Goblin Guide, but he chose to show a little bit of restraint, keep him the Isolated Chapel in the Path to Exile in case of another haste creature off the top.
Sure. Doesn't want to take any unnecessary damage.
Yeah.
Westberg will untap. He'll draw another path. The hand right now, 2 paths and a Liliana. Curious to see if he might go the Stirring Wildwood route.
Yeah, because you can play Liliana and start working on William's hand, but he can just play whatever he has in response. Yeah, so it's not going to do much.
If he goes to Wildwood, it's 2-turn clock.
Right.
And I want to get this game over with. I don't want to give my opponent any more draw steps to kind of burn me out.
Yeah, ultimately, Liliana does not save you if your opponent can cobble together lethal burn between now and next turn.
Westberg going to sacrifice. Verdant Catacombs going to fall down to 8. There is a forest. The woods might be getting wild here.
This is definitely a spot where Shambling Vent would likely be better.
Yeah, Shambling Vent would be a delight right now.
And if Burn continues to be as popular as it is, and you start looking at various Abzan strategies, maybe because, you know, John Westberg showed how easy it is to make top 8 of the tournament with that, like maybe you should consider Shambling Vent too.
Here's an attack for 7. Hawk's going to fall down to 6. Is he going to play a spell at the end step? Yep.
Oh, Skullcrack. Shambling Vent wouldn't have done anything there.
You're at 2. A big draw. Goblin Guy can be lethal. So many things can be lethal. Lightning Helix will be lethal. William Hawk is going to tie things up here against John Westberg. Burn. Abzan getting ready here for game number 3.
Yeah, that's kind of what it comes down to. A lot of the time, it's just like Burn needs one draw step to hit a burn spell, and they are a favorite, you know?
So there's an interesting situation there. That last turn, Skullcrack and Lightning Bolt get cast.
Mm-hmm.
You put your opponent down to 2, but now you've shut off Swift Spears now.
That's true.
So if you play...
But...
Okay, go on.
Rift Bolt.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Like, if you hold the Lightning Bolt, and then you draw Swift Spear, then it works perfectly. You do your opponent Xaxes. But if you hold the Lightning Bolt and you draw Rift Bolt, then you lose. So, but if you play the Lightning Bolt and you draw Swift Spear, then you're a point short. And you know, you can have it hang back to block, and then it gets path, and you lose. So I actually think it's really interesting on what you're supposed to do that turn. If you're supposed to just fire off both burn spells, or, you know, if you're supposed to hold one of them, it's really weird. It's really weird.
You have 4 of each card. I think it's just a numbers game, right? You have 4 of each card. He did not draw a Swift Spear that game, and he had played a Rift Bolt.
Yeah.
He did suspend one on turn 2. So
okay.
It was statistically, it would have been slightly better to hold the Lightning Bolt, I think.
Okay. Very small, probably.
Yes,
percentage-wise.
very small.
Yeah, but you know, there are some cards that can come rolling off the deck there where if you hold the Lightning Bolt, you lose. Like if you draw something the Rift Bolt, he's just going to lose then.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of interesting if you're supposed to just fire off there or not. Either way, he did fire off. Then he found a Lightning Helix on top of his deck, and that's why we're getting ready for game number 3, and that's why we're taking a look at the sideboards here. Westberg will be on the play for the first time in the matchup. Obstinate Baloth, Timely Reinforcements, maybe the Purge, maybe the Charm. We know the Duresses are in. I still love the options he has.
Yeah. I mean, the sideboard for most of these green-black decks is built in such a way to make it so you can board in multiple cards in different spots. So something like Obstinate Baloth, obviously meant for a burn matchup, but if you were looking to just hate on burn, you would play a more narrow card like Feed the Clan, because it's just more impactful. But Obstinate Baloth is also good in other spots. Like maybe you play against Jund, and you want a card to surprise their Liliana, the Veil, for example.
Other side of things for Hawk. Not a great idea of what he's brought in after sideboard. Didn't see any sideboard cards that particular game. His hand got shredded a little bit by discard, but some timely top decks did get the job done. Maybe Path, maybe Relic, maybe Deflecting Palm. Those are the options there for him. And these players are shuffled up. They're presented. We're getting ready here for game number 3. So they'll take a look at their openers. John Westberg will be on the play. Looks like he has at least Timely Reinforcements in hand.
And I think that's a keep. Just like having that card.
Based off that card alone?
Yeah.
For round 7 and your standings.
I mean, not only is it most likely going to be 6 life, but it's also going to probably give you 3 blockers to hold off whatever creatures they have in play.
Hawk is going to take a mulligan here. Now, one thing the burn deck, at least in my opinion, doesn't do very well is I don't think it's the deck that mulligans very well.
Well, we saw that he was a spell short in game 1, and he hit the spell on the last turn that he needed in game 2 to win. So being down a potential spell in this game might be huge.
He'll go down to 6. He'll get to use the new Vancouver Mulligan rule.
That is true. You get the
Which is
scry.
nice. Yep.
Certainly helps out decks like Burn, probably more than something like Abzan. But if William does start with something like Triple Goblin Guide, it's like, oh, don't really care about losing the extra card, you know, because I have 6 damage coming at you. I have these threats you have to deal with.
Well, players will take a look now. Westberg on his 7. Hawk will take a look at his 6. He's going to keep. Time for him to scry. See where that card wants to go. It's going to stay on top. All right. Underway, Stirring Wildwood. Mountain kept on top by Hawk. Goblin Guide time. Let me see the top card. Lingering Souls.
Yeah, not great in this matchup. A little too slow. But you can't sideboard out all your bad cards, unfortunately.
There's an Overgrown Tomb, pass the turn back. You see the timely reinforcements in Westberg's hand. He's getting ready to load up on that bad boy. He's also got Obstinate Baloth, too.
×2, I think.
Yeah. Top card, Abrupt Decay.
So someone has found their sideboard cards.
Yes, they have. When you draw your sideboard cards, they're supposed to have a huge impact on things, and it looks like they're going to. William Hawk's just going to play an Arid Mesa, pass the turn back. Abrupt Decay the draw here for Westberg.
I think you just play this timely into Skullcrack.
No fear.
Well, it's not necessarily about having fear, but what's the worst case scenario? So he has Skullcrack. You still get 3 1/1 creatures. So you also get to deal with the Goblin Guide, and then it clears the way for potential Obstinate Baloth to get you life.
Well, here's the timely reinforcements into the open mana.
One of my favorite cards.
Yeah, this card's all right. This card's all right. I don't hate this card. There is Skullcrack. Another update for you guys. While Westberg does put those 3 soldiers on the battlefield, Wes Blanchard with Zoo, number 3 overall seed, does take down Mason Young playing Amulet Bloom.
Impressive.
Take that, Jerry Thompson. Zoomir on one side of the bracket.
Like I said, man, if things played out the way that they were supposed to, air quotes there,
Yeah.
Zoo would probably not be in the top 8.
Well, you know what this means. We're going to have at least one Zoo deck in the finals. So, interesting stuff there. Goblin Guide, that's hanging back on defense. Nowhere to go there.
So it looks like no 4th land for Westberg. Otherwise, I think it would be pretty easy to just start dropping Baloths.
And so that's just going to be a Tarmogoyf 3/4.
Now you got to actually think a little bit.
Yep. I think we're going to see a burn spell on the unstep here from Hawk. He's going to start by sacrificing an Arid Mesa. Quick update here. Ray Montez. Tron is literally unbeatable. Just took down Infect 2 games to 1. I have no idea how. That means he won both sideboard games. That's pretty impressive. Wow, is Tron good.
Cedric could not be happier.
Wow.
I've known Cedric for a long time. I don't think I've seen him as happy.
Oh, baby. This is better than top 8 in the Pro Tour. Go, Tron, go.
So William had a couple of burn spells.
Yeah, Westberg is down to 6.
And I think this is it.
I think this is it. Yeah, that's a Lava Spike. That's a Boros Charm. All you can do is shrug the shoulders. There's another Lightning Helix over there, too. And Westberg's going to show you a hand with 2 copies of Obstinate Baloth, no 4th land. And William Hawk, number 1 overall seed, going to take down Obzon 2 games to 1. So, Burn going to be going up against Tron on one side of the bracket. On the other, it's going to be Zoo v Zoo. Like I said, don't really go anywhere.
I got this matchup right.
1 of 4 is not bad.
It's not bad.
That's like a 25%
We're on the board.
percentage. You are definitely on the board. If you were a baseball player, you'd be batting 250, you'd have a long career.